Okay, let's kick things off. We're talking cloud transformation today.
Right. It's this huge thing. So many companies are going through it.
And it's definitely not just flipping a switch, is it?
Mm.
Anyone who's done it knows it's way more involved than just new tech.
Oh, absolutely. It changes, well, pretty much everything. Processes, how teams work, the skills you need, even the whole company culture.
It's a massive undertaking, and honestly, not always successful,
Yeah, the results can be mixed if you don't approach it right.
which is why we're doing this deep dive. We're looking at an article from Techshift today.
Mm.
It really focuses on the cloud transformation roadmap, not just having one, but building one that, actually gets you there.
Yeah, the article basically argues it's the make or break factor
Exactly. The difference between, like, chaos and cost blowouts.
and a strategic move that actually helps the business. Real value.
So that's our goal here. We want to unpack the key steps from this article for building that roadmap and also, crucially, look at the common mistakes it points out.
So by the end, you, the listener, should have a clearer idea of what turns a roadmap from just a checklist.
Into a real living strategic guide. That's the key phrase, I think.
Definitely. So let's start with the why. Why does the article say this roadmap is so vital?
It frames the whole thing not just as a project, but as an organizational evolution.
Evolution, yeah. That's a good word for it. Because it needs coordinated changes, doesn't it? Tech, process, people, culture.
It's complex. So the roadmap provides the structure. It makes sure you're moving intentionally.
And, importantly, that those moves line up with what the business actually wants to achieve.
Right. Without that structure, things just drift, don't they? You might move some servers.
Technically, yeah, you moved them. But did it make you faster, cheaper? Did customers notice? If not, what was the point?
It becomes moving to the cloud, not transforming with the cloud. Big difference.
Okay, so how do we build this thing? The article lays out 7 steps.
Let's walk through them, but maybe not just list them. Let's talk about what you do in each step, why it's important, and the best practices the article suggests.
Sounds good. Step 1 is assess your current state. Understanding your starting point.
And this isn't just listing servers and software, is it?
No, no. The article really stresses looking at the business side too. What apps are critical? What depends on what? Where are the real pain points the cloud could fix?
Like a full inventory, technical, and business.
And skipping this, that's a classic mistake. The article mentions incomplete inventory and dependency mapping as a huge pitfall.
Right. You suddenly find some ancient system no one remembered.
Or a key process relies on something you didn't account for. Boom. Delays, costs.
So why does this assessment matter so much? It's about avoiding those nasty surprises, isn't it? Legacy stuff, hidden dependencies, compliance hurdles.
Exactly. It prevents your whole plan from going off the rails early on.
Best practices here. The article mentions using automated tools, definitely mapping those dependencies and figuring out business criticality.
Yeah, knowing what really keeps the lights on. And also evaluating the culture. Are people ready for this change? That needs to happen right at the start.
Which leads nicely into step 2. Define strategic goals and success criteria.
Okay, so you know where you are. Now, where are you trying to go? And how will you measure success?
And it's more than just, let's use the cloud. Right.
Oh, yeah. Clear, measurable goals tied to the actual business strategy. The article suggests SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Oh, a good framework.
And if you don't get this right, that's where lack of stakeholder alignment comes in, another pitfall mentioned.
Definitely. If IT wants cloud for tech reasons, but the business doesn't see the benefit,
You lose buy-in. Priorities clash. The whole thing can just fizzle out.
and without clear goals, how do you even measure ROI? You need to say, this move saved us X, or we launched products Y days faster.
It needs to be tangible. So best practices. Link cloud goals to real outcomes. Agility, cost savings, better customer experience.
Define what success looks like. Maybe it's shutting down a data center or launching a new service.
And get business and IT talking, properly aligned from day one. Super important.
Okay, step 3. Prioritize workloads and applications.
Right, because you can't just move everything at once. Or maybe you shouldn't move everything at all.
Precisely. You need a strategy. What goes first? Based on business value, complexity, risk.
Why is getting this order right so important?
Well, if you start with something super complex and low value, and it goes badly.
It kills momentum, right? People lose faith in the whole project.
Exactly. The article brings up the 6 R's framework here, which is pretty helpful.
Can you quickly break those down, the 6 R's?
Sure. It's a way to categorize what you'll do with each app. Rehost like lift and shift. Replatform move it, but tweak it for the cloud. Refactor, rewrite significant parts. Replace swap it for a SaaS option. Retain, keep it where it is for now. Or retire, just get rid of it.
Okay, that makes sense. So the best practices involve using a framework like that.
Yes. And picking pilot projects wisely. Something with good business value but manageable risk. Learn from those.
And sequence the migrations carefully to minimize disruption and maximize learning as you go.
Which flows right into step 4. Develop the migration and implementation plan. Mapping out the actual journey.
And the article definitely warns against the big bang approach, right?
Yeah.
All at once.
Oh, absolutely. Hugely risky. Usually leads to cost blowouts, downtime, everyone gets exhausted.
So a phased approach is the way to go. Waves or sprints.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Manageable chunks, clear milestones, clear ownership for each piece.
Best practices mentioned here. Documenting dependencies is key, based on step 1.
Yep. Plan for those incremental moves. Use automation wherever you can. It saves time and reduces errors.
And build in testing, validation, and crucially, rollback plans for every single phase.
You need that safety net. If something goes wrong, you have to be able to step back cleanly.
Now, the article seems to circle back to a couple of really big themes. Step 5 is about organizational and cultural change.
Yeah, this comes up again and again, the people side.
And it highlights this as the top reason projects fail. Why is focusing on the people so critical?
Because cloud does change things. Roles shift, new skills are needed, maybe you adopt DevOps. People need to understand the why and feel supported.
Otherwise, you get resistance, skills gaps, lack of buy-in.
All of the above. And that can totally sink the best technical plan.
So the best practices are really people-focused. Invest in training, upskilling. Communicate constantly the benefits, the impacts.
And find those change champions within the business who can help drive it forward.
And the other big theme, equally critical, is step 6. Establish governance, security, and compliance.
Right. And these aren't things you bolt on at the end. They have to be part of the plan from the very beginning, at every stage.
And skipping this leads to that pitfall of weak security and compliance. Why is this risk bigger in the cloud?
Well, it's a different environment. Shared responsibility model with the provider. New attack vectors, different compliance rules maybe.
So you can't just assume the provider handles everything.
Definitely not. That's a dangerous assumption. You need to actively manage your security posture, access controls, data protection. Failing here can mean breaches, fines, serious damage.
Makes sense. So best practices. Layered security, continuous monitoring, automating compliance checks where possible.
And having really clear policies on how data is used, stored, accessed in the cloud.
Okay, and the final step, step 7, acknowledges this isn't a one-and-done thing. Monitor, optimize, and iterate.
Exactly. Getting to the cloud is kind of just the beginning.
The work doesn't stop once the migration's finished.
Not at all. Cloud environments change constantly. New services, pricing changes. You have to keep monitoring performance, costs, user feedback.
And the article links this to the pitfall of poor cost management, right?
Yes. If you're not actively watching and optimizing, cloud costs can spiral out of control very quickly. It's a common shock for companies post-migration.
And you also miss out on making things better, using new features, if you just set it and forget it.
Precisely. So, best practices. Set up dashboards, track your KPIs, have regular roadmap reviews to make adjustments.
And build a culture where continuous improvement is just normal. Always learning, always tweaking.
We've hit on quite a few pitfalls already. Bad inventory, poor alignment, weak security, cost issues, underestimating change. The article also specifically calls out rigid, inflexible planning.
Ah, right. Treating the roadmap like it's set in stone.
Yeah, that's a trap. Things change, the market shifts, technology evolves, you learn things during the process. The roadmap needs to adapt. It has to be a living document.
And one more specific pitfall they mentioned, lift and shift without modernization. Can you unpack that one?
Sure. It's basically taking an old application designed for your own data center and just dropping it onto a cloud server as is.
Without changing it.
Right. You haven't refactored it or replatformed it to actually use cloud-native features like auto-scaling or serverless functions.
So you're on the cloud, but you're not getting the real benefits, like elasticity, cost savings.
Exactly. You've pretty much just moved your old problems to someone else's hardware. You miss out on a lot of the potential advantages.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
You're on the cloud, but not really using the cloud effectively. Which brings us back to that core question the article asks leaders.
Is your roadmap a living strategic guide, or is it just a technical checklist?
That question really sums it all up, doesn't it?
It does. If it's just ticking off technical tasks, you're likely missing the big picture. You're probably heading for some of those pitfalls we discussed because you're not focused enough on the business value, the people, the ongoing optimization.
Whereas a truly effective roadmap, according to this article, is dynamic. It's tied tightly to business goals, and it's focused on getting the whole organization ready.
Yeah, it's about enabling real change, real innovation, using the cloud to actually move the needle for the business.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it seems pretty clear. A good, adaptable roadmap isn't just nice to have for cloud transformation.
It's essential. It
Yeah.
really is the difference maker.
The difference between just shifting infrastructure around.
And truly evolving your organization to take advantage of what the cloud offers.
It's a complex journey, no doubt about it. Lots of potential traps.
But the source really emphasizes that with the right kind of roadmap, strategic, flexible, considering tech, process, and people, you can navigate those pitfalls.
And actually realize the huge potential.
Yeah. The final thought the article leaves us with, and maybe something for you, the listener, to reflect on for your own situation. Lead with vision, plan with rigor.
But never, ever lose sight of the people and the processes, because that's what ultimately turns a cloud strategy into lasting success.